Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is the 86th day of the year. We're on day 86. It's the 27th of March. We're almost at the end of March. Can you believe it? This year is just flying by. It is another beautiful blue sky, sunny day here in Bulgaria. The light is so amazing in my studio. I can't wait to get started working today. It's just so inspiring to be in this space with this beautiful natural light flooding the entire room. It's so great. I could talk about light like all day long. Anyone who's creative or an artist, I'm sure you understand what I mean. Just because I live in the tropics, I've lived on the equator almost my entire life, and living in Costa Rica, the light there is it's such high contrast. Like obviously on a sunny day especially, it's like almost blinding, the light. And so when you come somewhere that's got a very, very different, I mean, there's seasons, the light is very different, you just notice it. And I'm just really, really enjoying the change in scenery, and also really enjoying the way the light plays at different times of the day, especially in the mornings, especially the difference between a sunny day and a cloudy day. And again, as I keep saying, just always notice your environment, notice what's going on around you, notice how you feel in the morning compared to the evening or during the day. Notice how the weather affects how you're feeling, and just notice what's going on. Observe the natural world and the environment around you, and then observe how that makes you feel personally. It's a really interesting way to kind of connect with your environment and also understand a little bit more about yourself. Like, I've got more energy in the morning. I feel more inspired in the morning light. I don't feel so great when it's dark and stormy outside and there's not really great light. And there's a lot of noise going on outside right now. That really bothers my nervous system. Like, always check in with your environment and yourself. Observe what's going on, and then make any little adjustments that you might need to do so you can set yourself up for success. If you need to close the window, if you need to change the light source, if you need to go outside and go for a walk, just whatever you need to do, even if they're just minor adjustments, you can change your environment and therefore like change your state of being, change how you're feeling. And it doesn't have to be a huge significant difference either. It can be something very, very simple, but it can really have an impact on your overall well-being. Never underestimate the power of your environment and how it affects you. So on that note, on the 86th day of the year, according to Deng Ming Dao and 365 Dao, our word for today is images. So there's something else as an artist that sounds like a great read for us this morning. So grab your books, grab your journal and something to write with. Find a nice quiet and comfy place where you're not going to be disturbed for the next 15 minutes or so while we read together. Remember, 15 minutes is just 1% of your day. So find your little place for the next 1% of your day. Be here and now. Be present. Remember that breathing is the best way to be in the present moment, and deep breaths with long exhales send a little signal to your brain that it's time to relax and down-regulate. So get into that state right now. Open your books up to page 86 and let's start reading together on the 86th day of the year. Our word for today is images. Sound, smell, taste, image, touch, sleep. Can you think without clinging to these forms? A thought without shape is rare. Knowledge of Tao is rarer still. Our minds need to cling to some object in order to function in its usual modes. If you look at your memories, you will find that most are tied to some sensory image. That's really poignant. There's something like a song, something like a smell, even like a color of a fabric, an item of clothing. Some things can bring up memories for you. Certain smells are like you've probably felt this or observed this in your own self. Have a think about that for a minute. If you look at your memories, you will find that most are tied to some sensory image. If that resonates, have a think about what comes up for you immediately. And let's continue. The thought of being in the country brings up a certain fragrance. You see relationships in a certain way. We may do math problems or compose something to say to our companions, but we will still think in numbers and words. Some people make the mistake of rejecting this type of thinking, but we need to use the modes in order to function in the everyday world. When it comes to knowing Tao, though tied to sensory images, it is not enough to bring complete realization. Dualistic thinking cannot be used to know Tao, but we don't discard it as long as ordinary functioning in the world is necessary. When one meditates, one must use an aspect of consciousness that does not cling to external forms. This type of consciousness is beyond the senses. Some call these states of mind superconsciousness, samadhi, nirvana, or enlightenment. These are mere names. All that matters is getting to these states. Then all labels fall away. Wow, that's a really poignant reading today, especially with the last paragraph here when we're speaking about meditation, and that really the goal of meditation, as we've heard here, is to get to that enlightened state, that state of like being, non-being, where you're not attaching to anything, you're not thinking about anything, you're literally just being. And as it said, and one of the main teachings of Tao is that I think the first passage of the Tao Te Ching says something like, something that can be named is not the eternal Tao. And as it says here, these are mere names. We can put names on these things. We can put names on this the sense of enlightenment, this super consciousness, this state of nirvana. We can name it, but it's really being in that state that is. You don't have to put a label or a name on it. As it says here, all labels fall away. And that's a very human thing to do. We have to intellectualize everything. We have to give it a name. We need to label it as something rather than just allowing it to be what it is. And so if you do have a meditation practice, have you ever been in that state where you kind of just transcend like the consciousness, that your brain finally sits still and you can actually be in that state? You've probably felt it. It's not something that you can really verbalize. You can't intellectualize it. It's just a state of being that doesn't have a label. So if that resonates, congratulations, you're very far along in your meditation practice, because that's definitely the goal. But the thing with meditation is it seems so simple, right? Just sitting in contemplative silence, but it's very, very challenging to turn your mind off, to switch the labels off, to turn the intellect off and just be in that enlightened state. So that's a very interesting synopsis there in the last paragraph there about getting into that meditative state. But I really was interested in that first paragraph where it says like our memories are tied to the senses. So maybe take a moment now to sit and ponder a memory that you have that is tied to some sense. As it says here, being in the country brings up a certain fragrance. Are there places in the world that you go and immediately the smell hits you? And even if you haven't been there for many, many years, the memories come flooding back. I know that happens to me if I travel extensively and I come back to my house. The first thing that hits me is the smell of the house. And I'm not even consciously looking for it, but as soon as I open the door and enter, it's like, oh wow, it's a very familiar smell. It's a very calming smell. It's the sense of home. It's very, very interesting how it's not something I'm like looking for, and no matter how long I've been away, when I come back, it's still there. So if that resonates, have a think about something that's similar with you. It might be, as I said, it might be a smell, it might be a song or some sort of music or a sound. It could be something that you touch, perhaps a certain type of fabric that's very tactile, has a memory from you, from your childhood, or from some moment in your life. Take a moment to sit and think about the sensory things that come up and the memories that are associated with them. And this I really love about this passage is that we're getting beyond, we're in non-verbal communication here. It's not about intellectualizing, it's not about naming, it's about feeling. And it's about the feelings and the memories that are associated with that. So it's a beautiful state to be in. We don't have to verbalize everything all the time. Sometimes we just need to be and feel and use our senses to make sense of things rather than trying to verbalize it, intellectualize it. So that's a lot to start the day with, but this was a really great passage. I wish you a beautiful, beautiful Friday. Thank you so much for being here for 86 days of this year so far. Have a great weekend coming up, and